honourable member for Nepean.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll be sharing my time with the member for King's Hands. The Conservative Party Opposition Day motion we are debating today has 2 points I agree with, while I completely disagree with the objective of the motion to appoint a special committee to examine and review all aspects of Canada-China relationship. While it is good to have opportunities to review Canada's relationship with any country so that we can find ways to improve or further strengthen our relationship in a positive way, the objective of this motion is to establish a platform that provides to further degrade Canada's relationship with China. This motion is designed to provide a stage for harsh and one-sided critics of China. Yes, there are things about China we can and we should criticize. I don't foresee any positive outcomes from this proposed committee. Before I talk about the negative implications of having this committee, let me mention the points I agree with. First, the motion states Canadians of Chinese descent have made immeasurable contributions to Canada. Absolutely yes. Our wonderful country, Canada, is an ongoing successful story of a nation with extraordinary cultural, ethnic, linguistic, and religious diversity of its residents. I would like to recognize and appreciate the important contribution that the Chinese Canadians have made and continue to make to Canada's socio-economic, political, and cultural heritage. History of Chinese Canadians goes back to as far as 1700s, but the big movement started in the late 19th century. The road has always not been smooth. Chinese Canadians faced and continues to face discrimination. If this motion passes and the committee is established, I foresee increased negative perception about the Chinese Canadians in our country. In spite of the historical discrimination they have faced, Chinese Canadians with hard work and determination have built on the opportunities our wonderful country offers and have been successful in every aspect of the society, in the arts, science, sports, business, and government. To put it simply, Chinese Canadians have made big contribution in building a dynamic and prosperous Canada. The second point that the motion makes that I agree with is that the people of China are part of an ancient civilization that has contributed much to humanity. Again, yes, absolutely. China is a country with 5,000-year-long civilization. Chinese people have greatly contributed to many fields during the long recorded history. Some of the greatest inventions that are momentous contribution of the Chinese people to world civilization includes paper making, printing, gunpowder, and the compass. Other than these 2 points, everything else in this motion aims to design a platform for degrading the Canada-China relations and negatively contribute to Canada's interest. If this committee is established, I expect, number 1, increased negative perception about Chinese Canadians in our country. We have seen anti-Asian racism on the increase in recent times. With the kind of rhetoric I have heard before, and which I am sure will be repeated again in the committee, will only lead to increased negative perception of about 1.8 million Canadians who form over 5% of the population. The second negative effect, if this committee is formed, is further deterioration of our relationship with one of our major trading partners and thus affecting our businesses. China is one of our major trading partners. Canadian exports to China in 2021 was about $29 billion. Canadian imports from China were about $86 billion. In addition to low-tech mundane products, China is also a major technology and high-end product supplier to the world, from telecom equipment to batteries for electrical vehicles. China is also a manufacturing base for many products our industries needs. The proponents of this motion appear to be in a make-believe world with no China. Make no mistake, China is and will continue to be a major economy in the world. Canadian businesses need a smooth trading relationship with China, but the end results of this motion, if successful, will achieve anything but that. The third outcome, if this committee is formed, is the negative impact on the flow of Canada's most valuable and precious resource requirement, that is, immigrants with knowledge, expertise, and skills. China, for a long time, has been an important source of our skilled immigrants. Highly trained Chinese immigrants have become a significant part of our growing knowledge-based economy. While I don't expect dramatic slowdown in new Canadians from China, the harsh rhetoric will certainly act as a dampener in our effort to recruit the best and the brightest brains as immigrants to Canada. The fourth negative issue, if these motions become successful, is further fall in new technology-trained international students from China and further decline in these highly skilled students becoming permanent residents and later citizens. In the growing knowledge-based economy, it is not the natural resources that gives us the prosperity or the competitive edge. It is the knowledge, expertise, and skills of the younger generation that can continue to keep us prosperous. In the digital economy, it is the bright young graduates of today who give us the competitive edge. China was the major source of international students. While China remains the second largest for international students to Canada, the trend is declining. It was about 10% less in 2021. The decline began in 2019 and increased due to the pandemic. The anti-China bullhorn diplomacy will only add to the current problem. Is China perfect? No. China ignores the desire of the people of Taiwan who have established themselves as an economically successful entity with a vibrant democracy. China has erased the culture and heritage of minorities in its land and the distinctive identities of Tibetans and Uyghurs. And we have legitimate concerns for the people in Hong Kong. As one expert put it, China is neither as benevolent as it claims, nor as malicious as it is criticized. Let me mention what Jeremy Paltiel, a China expert at Carleton University, said in an article in the Global News on May 8 last year. He said, to see China in the context of friend or foe is an overly simplistic approach. I think that's a false dichotomy, he said. China can be both different and not an enemy. This nuanced understanding helps countries like Canada that are grappling with thorny issues, including human rights. The key to a successful Canada-China relationship is to be mindful of the differences without necessarily agreeing with or accepting them. Understanding is not the same thing as pardoning. We have to be able to find a way of talking across difference without defining difference as being enemy, Paltiel says. And if we don't do that, we can't live in a diverse world. To conclude, Madam Speaker, this motion is not in the interest of Canada and Canadians. Testifying before the Special Committee on Canada-China Relations in the previous Parliament, the former Canadian Foreign Affairs Minister and the Member of Parliament from Notre Dame de Grace Westmount mentions 4 C's approach Canada for its relationship with China: compete, cooperate, challenge, and coexist. I believe, he stated, China is rapidly becoming a global influence with which all countries must learn to coexist. That means we must recognize situations in which it is necessary to cooperate with China. It also means we are competing with China when it comes to trade and to promoting our values. It also implies challenging China when human rights are violated or Canadian citizens and interests are jeopardized. But the objective of the proponent of this motion is not to add value or have a meaningful discussion, but to degrade the relationship between Canada and China.